Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Arvind Eye Care System and Grand Rounds, I invite you for another special Grand Rounds today. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Prajna and all the senior leaders for giving us yet another opportunity to kind of recollect and know how we were able to look into this crisis as an opportunity. This is a famous saying by Winston Churchill. He said, every good crisis, we should look for opportunity. So we also looked at this crisis, this COVID-19 crisis during the lockdown and the unlock period, how we can do a safe patient care. And this was the opportunity in front of us. Towards this, we have done several things in the last 6 to 7 months. Our team is ready to share. So I hope, I'm sure we'll finish in time. We know that it's 1 hour Grand Rounds, but we have 7 to 8 presentations. So we wanted it to be seamless. So we are trying yet another innovation of recording all these sessions, and then now we are going to have a recorded version. But each of the innovator is getting an opportunity to showcase his own innovation. So first I would like to call Dr. Rajesh, who has been instrumental behind this. He heads our 3D lab and also the innovation here. And he has taken a very special interest to kind of handhold some of the new innovators to do this job. So I welcome you all to the special Grand Rounds, and I'm going to share my screen, and it will go on for the next 48 to 49 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Never let a good crisis go waste. I'll be talking about the various innovations we did during this pandemic. Due to COVID-19, there was total lockdown. There was restricted transport, break in the supply chains, and all the shops were closed. Where the safety is of utmost priority for us, we have to provide masks for both the patients and for our staffs. At one point, procuring the staffs itself was a major problem for us. And all this has to be done with no compromise to patient care. There was a lot of fear and anxiety among doctors and paramedical staffs. As the saying goes, never let a good crisis go waste. We looked at this crisis as an opportunity to better our clinical practices. We improvised and did a lot of new ideas like temperature and consent screening at the entrance, following social distancing at all points in our hospital, having an open triage area which is well ventilated. All the windows were kept open and the ACs were switched off. We also came a lot of innovative ideas in various social medias such as WhatsApp and Facebook. That is when we thought, why can't we showcase all the good ideas among the ophthalmologists in India to everyone? So we can adapt these good ideas faster and improvise them to safeguard our staffs and patients from COVID. Dr. Venkatesh sir was of the idea that we have to do it immediately. Aurolab also supported and encouraged us by sponsoring the prizes. That is how the Lockdown Jugaad series came. When you see the Jugaad, it is a simple solution for a complex problem. So we looked at into 3 categories. That is, the Jugaad should improve the safety or quality of the patient care and medical team. It should be a 2 to 3 minutes video with voiceover, and they should give the consent to upload it to the YouTube. We had a time duration of 10 days, and we were surprised to see 34 videos were submitted for this. For the pre-final jury, we selected the innovators from different Aravind Eye Care system. We made sure that one doctor gets involved from each Aravind center so they can take back these ideas and practice them. 6 videos are presented each day from Monday to Friday, and the best Jugaad idea was selected from each day. This shows all the 12 Jugaad ideas selected for the grand finale. These ideas were very good ideas which helped us to improve our clinical practices at different steps. So for the finals, we had innovators from all over India as the jury. The first prize was won by Flexible Aerosol Box Idea by Dr. Satyati Ravila, and the second prize was for the hospital workflow in the Mahatma Gandhi Eye Hospitals, which was presented by Dr. Meena Kumari. All these videos were also uploaded into our AuroTube, which is the YouTube channel, from which anyone can look at these ideas and adapt these ideas at any point of time. After looking at this Jugaad series, lots of our Aravind Eye Hospital doctors were also motivated, and they came up with innovative ideas to various problems. So we collected the most commonly faced problems and conducted a hackathon to solve them. What is a hackathon? It's a sprint-like event where different people come together and work to solve a problem. They work continuously from 24 to 36 hours to come up with a working prototype to the problem. So the different problem statement we had were fogging of glasses or 90-degree lens during examination, a safe slit lamp shield, touch-free hand sanitizer dispenser, opening of the lids without using any fingers, refraction shield, and sterilization of masks. So the hackathon was conducted from morning 8 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. A team was formed with one medical officer, a resident, and a fellow. Well-ventilated working space was given. Wi-Fi was made available to search for good ideas. One instrument personnel was available to help with different teams. Support from the maintenance department was given as and when needed. To boost their work and to have a continuous workflow, refreshment was given. 3D printer was available to design and prototype newer ideas, and all innovations were assessed and at periodic intervals and guidance were given. So at the end of the day at 5 p.m., all of the teams presented their Jugaad ideas. So this picture shows how each team were working on their own ideas, and they presented these ideas. Now let us see what they presented.
Good afternoon everyone. Myself Dr. Kulhit Jaiswal, and today I will be speaking on Eye Opener, a novel device during COVID-19 time. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank our Chief Medical Officer Dr. Venkatesh sir for all inspiration and motivation. During COVID-19 times, we were given tasks to identify problem statement during patient examination and how we can fix it to improve patient care. We found that many times during ocular examination through slit lamp, it is difficult when do not open their eyelids widely. Often, it leads ophthalmologists to use their hands to retract the eyelids. Also, during COVID-19 pandemic, there is high risk of contamination of gloves while retracting the eyelids or accidental touching of patient face mask while doing so. This can lead to the cross-infection of slit lamp knobs, ophthalmic lenses such as 90D, gonio mirror, keyboard while entering in electronic medical records or other surrounding surfaces. At this point, we identified the problem statement which lead to the thought of opening eyes without coming in direct contact with eyelids. An idea of using two cotton buds was proposed, but that too had few challenges. To alleviate this, we then came up with novel 3D printer eye opener, a V-shaped self-recoiling eyelid retractor with each prongs measuring 7 cm in length, 1 cm in width, an angle of 50 degree between them was designed on SolidWorks software. A hole of 1 mm was made at the anterior end of prongs to accommodate the cut ends of the buds. It was then 3D printed with foam-like flexible thermoplastic polyurethane material on Ultimaker 3D printer. A single sterile cotton bud was cut into 2 equal halves and was placed into anterior end of prongs. Due to its recoil memory, the device recoiled back when released. The device does not require use of topical anesthesia as it rests only on the skin of the eyelid, making it comfortable for the patient. Once the examination is over, the cotton buds are disposed and the device is cleaned with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Since the device is very lightweight, it rests over the eyelids as an external aspect, making it useful in examination of conjunctivitis patient, corneal foreign body removal, corneal scraping, during indirect ophthalmoscopy, during post-duction test, during post-operative examination, and for instilling eye drops. Eye opener is very simple design which is cost effective, patient friendly, easy to use simple design, reusable and safe during COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Good evening everyone. Myself Dr. Anjali Khadia and my team is Dr. Sivagami Eva. We innovate the safe slit-lamp seal, that is the triple SSS. Many protective seals are available for the slit lamps in commercially and in different size and shape and material like glasses, X-ray and acrylic materials. But here question arises, do they really achieve the purpose? Secondly, is the right size? To get the right size, we did aerosol dispersion experiment using nozzle gun spray filled with the fluorescent dye to simulate the patient cough. We found that aerosol crosses and reach to the examiner. Fluorescence droplets is with ultraviolet light over the head, forearm and hand. We test repeatedly for all commercially available seals. Keeping in mind safety, comfort and ergonomics, we modify the slit lamp. A acrylic sheet that is 26.5 inches in length, 17.5 inches in the breadth, and there is a U inverted cut that is present in the outer and lower part. This inverted U shape allows easy examination. Fixation target like cartoon can be used for easy focus in children. We repeat this aerosol dispersion experiment to our slit lamp. We found that there is no aerosol detected beyond the sheet and maximum protection compared to the other sheet. So we found it is easy to disinfect, ergonomically suitable, low cost, easy to manufacture and portability, and we can use in all type of slit lamp. Despite aggressive awareness to wear masks properly, there is always failure to follow the instruction. So, appropriate size of slit lamp seal can compensate for flaws in the wearing mask. So, we recommend patients should wear masks properly. Doctors should wear personal protective equipment. In addition to these two, slit lamp seal of adequate size that gives the comprehensive protection. And this paper is published Uh, Thank you.
Refraction shield. During refraction, the face of the optometrist and the face of the patients are very close to each other. Can we have a barrier or a shield which can protect them without hindering their workflow? So we designed a diffraction shield of 3 feet into 2 feet dimension. A side cut was made of 8 into 9 inches. So the sister can work using this opening and see the refraction without any difficulty. The refraction shield was fixed to the table using two wooden joints. It can be fixed to any table and it is very easy to make. As you can see in this photo, while doing refraction, the arm of the sister passes via this side cut. So they are able to do the refraction using the trial frames easily. Not only refraction, other examinations like near vision, muscle balance and color vision checking can be done seamlessly using this shield. This shield provides complete protection to all the optometrists against COVID without hindering their workflow. Coming to our next innovation, 90-day holder. So this was devised to prevent fogging of the 90 diopter lens while fundus examination. As you can see, 95% of the patient come to our hospital wearing a 3-ply mask. The only problem with the 3-ply mask is there's a small gap between the nose and the mask. This causes jet of air to be directed upwards. This hot breath not only fogs the lenses, it also has coronavirus particles, as the breath of the patients are more infected. 3 to 7% of the patients who present to our hospital will be COVID positive patients. They may be asymptomatic carrier. So these breaths, when they fall on the 90 diopter lens or our fingers while fundus examination, they contaminate our fingers and the lens. To avoid this, we have designed a 90 diopter lens holder. It just consists of two parts, a case to hold the 90 diopter lens and a simple stick-like holder with which you can easily hold it, just like holding a pen. And you can also tilt it at whatever angles you want. This video shows how the 90 diopter lens can be fixed to the 90D holder. The cover is put and then you can wrap it with the thin wraps. So it can be easily cleaned. So it prevents touching of the mask or the breath contaminating our fingers and 90D as you examine quite far away from the eyes. It can be also easily cleaned, protecting the surface and coating of these 90 diopter lens. This video shows how in 90 diopter lens, when you are examining the fundus, it gets fogged. You can see here clearly it is getting fogged. And if you use a 90D holder, it totally prevents the breath from coming in contact with the lens. So there is no fogging even when the patient is blowing with their mouth. So it is quite safe. So 90D holder is cost effective as it is less than 10 rupees. It produces very good quality and it is very easy to use. It protects the 90 diopter lens because it has a thin wrap covered over it, so you can easily clean it and coating is not damaged. It can be reused. It can be easily sterilized by mopping with the hand sanitizer. And most important point is it is very safe. It avoids contamination of the lens and our hands with the infective breath of the patient. It also avoids touching the mask of the patient while fundus examination, making the 90D holder an ideal device for fundus examination. Thank you. Hello.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Rakesh, and today I will be talking on my innovation on anti-fogging noseband. My team consists of myself, Dr. Vaibhav, and Dr. Shivraj. With this COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen so many new things coming into our life, and we have already started accepting it as a new normal. With the new normal, we are also seeing some new problems. The problems what we notice with the face masks are is the availability, sterilization and reuse, fogging, and disposal of these masks. The problem statement what we selected was fogging of the glasses. There are several types of face masks available. One is the N95 mask, which is more effective because of its better filtration and a better sealing effect. However, due to the availability and cost issues, it has promoted the usage of other masks such as surgical and cloth masks. These masks are more prone for fogging of glasses. Fogging occurs when a warm breath comes in contact with the relatively cool surface of the spectacles and condenses. Due to the gap between the mask and the face, the warm breath comes and touches the surface of the glasses, thereby condenses, creating a blurring of vision due to the fogging. This can disturb the doctor during a slit lamp examination of the patient and also for the surgeon and the assistant in the operating room. Noticing this problem, we came up with the idea of anti-fogging noseband. The materials required for making of anti-fogging noseband is a simple sponge of 15 cm length, a metal wire of 20 cm length, an elastic band, super glue, and a plastic cling flap. Initially, a metal wire is passed through the entire length of the sponge. On the other end, the free ends of the metal wire is turned into a U-shaped loop, and the U-shaped loop is reinserted into the sponge. On either side, a elastic band is passed through the loop and it is adhered with the super glue. Then it is screen wrapped with the plastic film. The mask is worn over the noseband is worn over the mask and is adjusted according to the facial contour. It ensures a tight seal over the entire length of the mask, thereby reduces the aerosol dispersion, and thus it prevents fogging as there is no space between the face and the mask. Thus, it helps in easily. Thus, a doctor can easily use it in OPD while slit lamp examination. It can be used by a patient during refraction to prevent the fogging of the dry lenses, and also in the operation theaters. It is adjustable, easily fits everyone. The soft sponge helps in prolonged and comfortable wear. The plastic film helps in easy sanitization and reuse. Thus, to conclude, anti-fog noseband is a simple, effective, and most importantly, do-it-yourself device to prevent and solve the issue of fogging of glass with a mask. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk about our hands-free hand sanitizer dispenser. Our team consists of myself, Dr. Vivekanandan, and Dr. Deepak, our IOL fellow. As we all know, hand sanitizer plays a very important role in the fight against COVID-19. But we wanted to make a touch-free hand sanitizer dispenser, especially for the running nurses in the OT. So when we explored options available in the market, they were either very expensive or very bulky or both. So our aim was to make a cheap, small and a very lightweight hand sanitizer dispenser, which also had to be portable. But first we got the idea from the trains from IRTC. So this is we went to the market in search for the ready-made bottle holders so that we can use this to place our dispenser and then find a way to press it. But this was not available. So we went to our maintenance department. So where a 3 mm metallic silver stainless steel rod was curved and then welded to our OT running table, and an L-shaped rod was placed. But the L-shaped rod was placed over the pump. It was so heavy that the hand sanitizer started leaking. So we had to make it light and immobile. So to make it immobile, we welded two 1-inch pipes to the table itself so that the L-shaped rod was mobile and not shaky. And halfway through, we welded a nut to it so that the following nylon rope will be tied to it and make it a little bit less in weight. So this is a video of our first model, which is still there in our operating room. This is especially for the running nurse. So we have a small PVC pipe tied to the end of the nylon rope. So when you press the PVC pipe, you get the hand sanitizer. So this was our first version. Then we came up with our second version after a week, which was a portable version. So it is the same thing with a U-shaped square-edged clamp where we had a screw in the bottom, which was you can tighten it to any type of table, because we had two different types of table in the OT. We needed to do this because one table was 1 inch in thick, the other was 3/4 of an inch. So this screw helps us to tighten it. Once it is tightened, it was easy to use. So this is our portable version, which is available in all our running cables in all the OTs. So then we had a problem in our OPD. So this was the common problem. So when we pressed the pump for the hand sanitizer, there was a splatter all over. This splatter had damaged a couple of our computer screens, as you see in the left bottom corner. So in order to prevent this, we want the hand sanitizer to be fixed, and we wanted the nozzle to be pointed away from the computer. And it had to be user friendly for both the nurse and the doctor in the OPD. So these are the basic things that is needed for making this. And this is our OPD version. So it was fixed in such a way that the nurse and the doctor can use it at the same time. And when the dispenser is over, when the solution is over, it is very easy to replace. You lift the L-shaped clamp, remove the bottle, place in another bottle, and place the L-shaped clamp over the pump nozzle. So in this picture, it is at the edge of the doctor's computer table, so that it is easier for the nurse to use for cleaning the slit lamp or in between cases. And it is also easier for the doctor to use while still being seated on the chair. So this is our hands-free hand sanitizer dispenser. Thank you.
Good evening everyone, myself Dr. Bharat. I will be presenting on UV sterilization. Our team consists of myself, Dr. Kirandeep, Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Joseph. As we all know, due to the growing coronavirus pandemic, the daily demand and utilization of masks had increased exponentially, especially during the lockdown. This had resulted in acute shortage of personal protective equipment worldwide. The need to safely reuse the valuable personal protective equipment have already been highlighted and already in practice in higher centers like All India Institute of Medical Sciences and Nebraska Medical Center, Omaha. A number of innovative ideas for reuse of respirators have already been practiced across the globe. At Nebraska Medical Center, ultraviolet C light had been installed in closed room and is being used for decontamination of respirators. Keeping this in mind, we thought of replicating this concept with the help of airtight containers and ultraviolet C lights. So we proposed a jugaad idea of UV by using ultraviolet C light and old freezer boxes. With the help of our medical team, we arranged the old condemned freezer boxes. Subsequently, ultraviolet C light and reflecting mirrors were installed in the freezer boxes. The mirrors reflect the ultraviolet C light and increase the efficiency of sterilization process. So we should understand the mechanism of sterilization. When ultraviolet C germicidal lamps come in contact with hydrogen peroxide droplet, the free hydroxyl radicals are generated by advanced oxidation process. This in turn destroys the germs, viruses and microbes on the surface. During the whole process, the guideline proposed by the Center for Disease Control for reuse and sterilization of respirators was followed. This video highlights how the respirators are being handed over by the doctors to the mid-level ophthalmic personnel after usage. These respirators can be used for 8 hours as a stretch. The mid-level ophthalmic personnel note down the name of the doctor and keep the respirators for sterilization cycle. This video highlights how the respirators are taken out from the paper bags and kept in UV for sterilization. These respirators are hanged inside the freezer boxes with the help of copper hangers. The recommended cycle for decontamination is around 20 minutes. The whole process can be repeated for 5 to 6 times, and the respirators can be used for at least 7 to 8 times. Similarly, the Ziploc bags are taken out from the boxes and sterilized with the help of hydrogen peroxide and UV. Here we can see the Ziploc bags are taken out by the mid-level ophthalmic personnel and kept inside the UVIC. The Ziploc bags, along with the respirators, after sterilization, are kept in the sterile boxes dedicated for this purpose. The respirators, as well as the Ziploc bags, have the name of the doctor written over it so as to avoid any confusion. So when the doctors come for the duty in the morning, they can collect the respective respirators from the mid-level ophthalmic personnel. We also have a separate room dedicated for UV sterilization. And this effective technique of sterilization is economical, reusable, and will prevent the shortage of respirators in near future. This technique got published in Indian Journal of Ophthalmology as a letter to editor. Thank you one and all.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to share with you some of the new normal activities we have been experimenting here towards patient care during this pandemic. We all know we are going through a kind of a complex and a unique situation where there are a lot of new normal activities like social distancing, sanitizing, and also compulsory masking both for our staff and patients. The idea is we want to minimize the spread of infection so that we take care of not only our patients but also our staff at this point of time. And more importantly, there are new guidelines coming up for our practice every other day. So we need to kind of adapt and work towards those guidelines. I just want to highlight our vision centers or the primary eye care centers. We have at present 80 centers, but 79 centers were actively running during the pandemic as well. We see more than 1 million patients through these vision centers. And what we understand is some of these centers at the end of a year, they are able to reach 40% of people who need eye care, and by the end of second year they are almost touching 75 to 80% of people who need eye care. And the most important thing which we all know is 90% of the problems are resolved locally, like removal of a foreign body, treatment of a red eye, giving a presbyopic glasses, and only 10% of people who need either a specialized treatment or a surgery are referred to the base hospital. So if you see, this is the rough number of how new and review patients we see through our 79 centers. We see close to 700,000 patients. We give close to 100,000 spectacles. And if you see, the acceptance rate for these spectacles are really high, as close as 90%. And also we advise close to 40,000 cataract surgeries, and of which roughly 70% of them undergo surgery in one of our base hospitals. And more importantly, we refer a lot of specialty cases like glaucoma suspects or glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, age-related macular degeneration, and other anterior segment issues to the base hospital. And if you see, we have a very good acceptance for that also. This is just to show you a comparison between several vision center models across India, which was published sometime back in IJO before the start of pandemic. So if you see, we established vision centers in the year 2004, and some of the hospitals like LV Prasad and few other hospitals have even started earlier. By the end of our March 2018, we had close to 67 centers, and LV Prasad had 171 centers. What is more important is how many people we reach through these centers. We are reaching somewhere close to 600,000 patients, which is nowhere comparable to the other institutes who run the vision centers. And also the number of glasses we dispense, the number of cataract surgeries we do through these vision centers are significantly high when compared to other institutes running vision centers. I just want you to show you a data comparing 2019 and 2020 during the pandemic, what happened. Normally, vision centers see 20% of what is the outpatient which comes to main hospital. Like 40,000 to the main hospital, vision centers see close to 8,000, which is roughly 20%. But if you see during the pandemic, when we had the lockdown and the unlock was happening, the main hospitals were still seeing very less when compared to the previous year. But the vision centers quickly returned to the normal volume. And if you see in our Pondicherry data, you can see they are seeing close to 44% of what the main hospital was seeing. This shows that how vision centers are so accessible for eye care for people during this pandemic, because it was easy to access and also people had less fear in going there. And with a lot of e-pass and travel restrictions, people prefer to go to a vision center comfortably. So what we thought is we should promote vision center in a bigger way. So we decided to reduce the number of trips which the patient makes to the base hospital for cataract surgery. We know that there are a lot of travel related challenges. So we wanted to reduce those challenges and also the cost related to that. So we promoted something called the same day surgery. So we sat as a team and we decided that whatever can be done in the pre-operative workup can be done at the vision center. So they were able to send straightforward cataract patients directly on the day of surgery. So if they wanted a physician opinion, we had a small tie-up with the local physician to do ECG, lab and other screening tests so that they are fit for cataract surgery. And they are also given an antibiotic and how to use the antibiotic the night before the surgery. So these patients arrive roughly at 8 a.m. to the base hospital individually, or some are advised to go as a group. And once they arrive in the base hospital, then we do investigations like biometry and entry into the electronic medical record, and then they are guided to have a surgery. And the surgery is usually completed by 12 noon, and then they are sent in the evening to home. And the next day they review at vision center. So we have a process flow for this and also a flow chart, and we have kind of had meetings with our stakeholders. So immediately once they come, the patients they get a special badge saying that same day surgery from vision center. So all these tests are done as soon as possible, and in case if they need a specialty opinion, that is also expedited, and then a surgery is done, and then they are followed up the next day at the vision center. So this is one thing which we have been doing for quite some time, at least for more than a couple of years, which is very beneficial for the patients, again to reduce their travel, their expenses related to travel and also the time. And now in this pandemic, it has really helped us. The first day post-op being reviewed at vision center. So we make sure that we counsel the patients about the nearest vision center for them. For example, I would say an engineer from Neyveli Lignite Corporation would go to our vision center at Vadalur, which is like a couple of kilometers from the main gate for the NLC. And these patients are highlighted and counseled that they can go for follow-up the next day. They are not forced. If they are willing, they go. Otherwise, they are asked to come to the base hospital. And in case if they have any complication on the table or the surgeon wants to see the patient the next day, then they are advised to come to the base hospital. And once the center reviews, the electronic medical record entry is done, and also we closely follow up for the CAT QA entry also. This is just to show you how we closely follow these patients. You can see the type of surgery, the vision, if there were any complications, like air bubble or iritis and things like that. We closely follow those patients with the vision center team. And what you see is very encouraging data which I am showing you. This is the paying daycare and this is the free daycare list. If you see, the people coming to base hospital have significantly reduced in August and September. There are only 36% patients coming back to the base hospital. Many of them are going to vision center for the review, 37%. City center, 10%. Same day they are seen in the evening and then sent home. So roughly close to 60% patients, they don't have to come back to the base hospital for the review. And if you see the free daycare, almost 52% of them go to vision center. Again, only a very few people come back to the base hospital. So these are people who are really very close to the base hospital. And they are the patients who are advised to come the next day morning for review here. The other important thing which we are doing is kind of promoting digital payment. This is one thing which we have been trying to focus, but during the pandemic we are giving a lot of importance to this because we don't want to handle the notes which can be contaminated. And this has also significantly increased by bringing in certain systems into place. For example, this is the counseling card which the patients get. So now the counselors make sure they tell them about the digital payment. They put a seal here and then what is the amount and what is the preferred mode of payment, like credit or a debit or an account transfer. So this has really helped us to improve this from like 20% to now 65% of patients are doing cashless transaction for their surgeries. So this is one thing I think which we should try to sustain in the coming period even after the pandemic. The other thing which I want to highlight is we are trying to do some teleconsultation with vision centers.
நல்லா இருக்கு மேடம், ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை, ஒன்றும் தொந்தரவு இல்லைங்க. நீங்க மருந்து போட்டுட்டு இருக்கீங்களா? போடுறது விட்டுட்டேன் மேடம், ஒரு 1.5 மாசம் 2 மாசம் ஆயிடுச்சு. கொரோனாவால வாங்க முடியல. அம்மா, அங்க நெல்லிக்குப்பத்திலே போய் நீங்க கேட்டா கூட கொடுத்துருப்பாங்களே உங்களுக்கு. நெல்லிக்குப்பத்திலே ஆபீஸ்ல இருந்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும் மேடம், ஏற்கனவே சொல்லி போன் பண்ணி சொன்னாங்க. மருந்து நீங்க எத்தனை மருந்து போட்டுட்டு இருக்கீங்க சார்? ஒரே மருந்து தான், நைட்ல மட்டும் ஒரு டிராப் 2 கண்ணி. லாட்டோபிராஸ்ட் ஆர்டி தான போட்டுட்டு இருக்கீங்க, நைட் 9 மணிக்கு ஒரு சொல்லிட்டு 2 கண்ணி போடலையா?
So here you can see Dr. Kavita, who is head of glaucoma. She is doing a kind of teleconsultation with patients who are not able to come back for review to the base hospital. They had a nearby vision center. At this point, it was center at Nellikuppam, where they came as a small group and the consultation happened. And one of the patients who missed the medication said he was not able to get during the lockdown, and then we facilitated him to get his anti-glaucoma medications. The other thing which we are exploring is whether we can do anything which is kind of home-based. Can we Uberize the care? And this is the time we had a very special guest visiting us, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, and she was very excited to see our shared medical appointments. And she was talking about how our trial has been so successful in finding out that shared medical appointment not only improves the follow-up and the care, but also improves the knowledge of the disease, because they get to know about the condition because they share their appointment with several people. So their knowledge is also better about the disease. And she was highlighting that no, this has to be explored in a much better way even during this pandemic. So we also tried whether we can do a shared medical appointment on Zoom. So these are some of the patients who are part of our SMA trial. We requested them to join us for a shared medical appointment on Zoom.
அந்த கண்ணுல லைட் அந்த கருவளையம் மாதிரி இப்போ லேட்டஸ்டா இருக்கு.
ஓகே. மருந்தோட சைடு எஃபெக்ட்டா கூட அந்த கருவளையம் வரலாங்க சார். இந்த லாட்டோபிராஸ் மருந்து நைட் போடுறீங்க இல்லையா?
ஆமா.
இன்னொரு மருந்து எப்ப போடுறீங்க? டிமோலன்.
ஒரு மருந்து வந்து மத்தியானம் ஒன்னு போடுவோம், அப்புறம் நைட் ரெண்டும் போடுவோம் மேடம்.
கரெக்ட். மத்தியானம் போடக்கூடாது. காலையில 8 மணி, நைட் 8 மணி டிமோலன். லாட்டோபிராஸ் மருந்து நைட் 9 மணி.
காலையில 8 மணிக்கு போடணுமா?
ஆமா ஆமா ஆமாங்க சார்.
தப்பா போட்டேன் நான். மத்தியானம் வந்து.
So like this we were able to clarify some doubts and also misunderstandings to the patient through this. And Dr. Kavita has done again with several groups like this who are not able to return to the base hospital for the regular review after 6 months. We tried doing through Zoom, and it was also quite successful. And we need to explore whether we can do this in the future. But the problem in telemedicine, at least in ophthalmology, is that or in glaucoma care, you don't have an IOP measurement, you can't do a visual fields, and also you can't see the fundus. If it's a diabetic review, you can get the blood test done and you can do a diabetic review, but some of these investigations are not feasible. So we also explored whether we can Uberize eye care, whether we can take home eye care. So we have a good trained technician with us who helps us in outreach fundus imaging, and we tried whether this is feasible. So what you see is again one of our staff with all the personal protective equipment, with the consent of a patient, visiting his home and then measuring his intraocular pressure using an eye care tonometer, and then you can see he is going to do a visual field using a device called CFA. So CFA is a device which was developed by the team from Pondicherry with a bright student from VIT, and now it's a commercially available virtual reality based visual field analyzer. So it takes much less time, and also it's very easy to do. We can easily train them, and also the technician can monitor the report closely on the tablet which he is carrying. So after the visual fields, fundus imaging is also done with a non-mydriatic fundus camera. We use a Fundason phone by a company called Remedio, which is based in Bangalore. So you can see him imaging, and then these images are uploaded to the base hospital, to the consulting doctor. So you can have a intraocular pressure, you have visual fields, and also you have his optic nerve head images. So this can give you a very good idea about the treatment and the management plan. So we have validated the CFA, and also we are working on a better version of the CFA which is going to come quickly, and also this visual field analyzer can be decontaminated. So these are some of the experiments we are doing this pandemic so that we can improve patient care. Some of this we can explore even in the future, and I think at this point again I would like to thank our chief, Dr. Venkat Swamy, who always said intelligence and capability are not enough. There must be the joy of doing something beautiful. And the team here tried to do something beautiful during this pandemic, and that is the set of innovations and also the new experiments we are doing in patient care. I once again thank all the people who have joined us today in this grand rounds, and also thank our management for giving us all these opportunities to explore, to improve the patient care at Aravind. Thank you. Yeah. So Thank you again. We have another few minutes, and I believe there are some users here. We would like to take feedback from some of the users if they are available.
It was very nice to actually discuss all these innovations and ideas to the good number of people, doctors, because we have been discussing these things in a very small group in different clinical meetings and those things. So I think it's very nice so that so many people can get inspired, and I think there are much more to do, much more innovations that can be done with this pandemic going on and on. Thank you, sir. It's a very nice teamwork from Ponty which made these things possible. So one thing which I remember people telling is when Dr. We went for a camps in the initial days, there were no patients coming to the camp site. So the team felt that, sir, we should leave. There are no patients coming to the camp site. Then I heard Dr. V said that, okay, if they don't come, we will go to each house and we'll examine. So I think that came into my mind when you were showing this Uberization of eye care. So I think Arvind is so successful just because we always think on the patient side. What more can we do for the patients than thinking only from our side? Good presentation, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Fatima.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Actually, we are using the Citlam Shield in all our Citlams, sir, in Tirunelveli, Aravinda. We feel, it gives very good sense of security, and we feel very good while using it. And it is almost with Meenakshi Madam's effort. She had fixed in all Citlams, including even in wards. So we are very much happy with that Citlam Shield. And about other innovations, we have tried others also, like 90D holder. It is easy to use, but it is easy while in dilated people. But in undilated people, little bit we have to maybe we have to get used to it. And even that eye opener is also doing good. But in our clinic, pediatric clinic, since because we are handling children, we are not using it often, and also we have triage clinic. So in triage setup, some doctors are using it, sir. So mainly the Citlam Shield is very much useful, and I believe.
Thank you, Dr. Fatima.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody, Magesh or anybody, are you using any of these ideas? I mean, do you have any comments to make?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Magesh.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation, sir. Excellent innovations and really inspiring. Here in Madurai, we are using in some slit lamps at least, we are using the slit lamp shield. And our doctors report that it's really gives them confidence, and it's really helpful. And thank you for that innovation. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Magesh. Anybody from Coimbatore, Parag, you want to say anything?
Very nice presentation, sir. Some of them are really inspiring, especially the Uberization is really sort of a mind-boggling idea, like Swiggy or Zomato. That is something very, very, very inspiring. One question I had, that slide you showed about the vision centers comparing the other institutes. Why do you think that ours is almost like double, and the number of vision centers are half to the other institutes? So why do you think the uptake is more for Arvind than other institutes?
That's a very good question. Even it was very interesting to see when that article came up. It was actually published by LB Prasad team, Rohit Khanna and colleagues. They collected the data from all centers, and that I think really opens our eyes how much our vision center has reached. I think it's more the selection of the right place, putting up in the right center where people can easily access. And also how patient care is, And the other important thing is only our centers have a direct telemedicine connectivity between a patient and a doctor. None of the other models have that. No, they have optometrists dealing with it and they refer the patients. Whereas in our center, from the day one, we had somebody from the base hospital talking to them. I think that has also added value to our vision centers to bring in more patients back into the system as review, and also kind of promoting marketers. The social marketing was happening more aggressively in our system. Is there any other points to that? I'm sure there are some senior team, including Tulsi sir, and anybody who want to add anything to that? Why is our vision centers attractive?
Is it cost effective also? I mean, pricing?
Definitely. Yes, 20 rupees, the cost is also less, but other centers also, it's not very expensive. Now, I remember visiting a few of the centers by LV Prasad and other hospitals. They're not very expensive, maybe 30 rupees, 40 rupees, something like that. But I think it's more the care and the interaction is attracting more number of patients to our vision centers.
One I can make for ROP telescreening. One thing we also make it a point that all the reports are given by doctors and not by technicians. There are other programs that are doing that, and then there's a false security that everything is going well. But here at least we know some qualified doctor is always there and giving, and that is why one of the reasons is why I think our telescreening program also is more successful than the other programs, and that is why I think that personalized care, even if remotely, I think is more important. Even although it's a baby, but the parents know that some doctor has seen, has given advice. I think that makes a big difference than someone else or technician giving it who are not qualified to give these advice. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's where
one other thing is, I think the referral rate from vision centers to the base hospital for specialty consultation is less than Aravind. I think it's 20%. I think in other vision centers, even very small foreign bodies or conjunctivitis, they refer to the base hospital. With so much of referrals happening, patients feel, why should I go here? I can straight away go to the base hospital. So I think referral rate, having it to the minimum possible, also creates good name among the society, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. That's the basic idea. No, you want to reduce their travel. You want to reduce their cost of losing wages. So if that doesn't serve, the purpose doesn't serve, then by the way, they would come to the nearest bigger hospital, then go there. It should not become only a traffic like a signal. So we need to really filter off the patients who can be taken care in a vision center itself. I think that happens to a great extent in our system, and it can be definitely strengthened. One is by imaging the fundus, we can strengthen that in a better way so that you avoid unnecessary referrals of diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma suspects and others. But it's a kind of ongoing process, and it's challenging, and there is a lot of scope for improvement in that. Anyway, it's going to be 7 p.m. I again thank the Grandrones team, especially Dr. Prajna and everybody for giving us yet another interesting and also a good opportunity for all our innovators to showcase. And I'm sure this would kind of imbibe that little bit of interest and fire in many of us, because to begin with, when I saw them sitting in the morning on hackathon, when I went around 10 o'clock, they had empty tables, nothing there. I was very upset. So I said, what is happening here? You have problems and I don't think you're going to find solutions. And in the afternoon, 2 p.m., when I went there again after lunch, there was again a kind of a historical change than what it was at 10 a.m. They were bubbling with ideas and solutions were coming up. And by evening 5 p.m., they were able to ready to make a presentation with a prototype. I mean, that's the kind of power we have in our team. It's time to kind of unravel it. It's like it's like a gift box for me. So you have to open the gift box. And I would recommend every leader there, especially the chief medical officers. You have a lot of gift boxes there in your centers. Open it up, and I'm sure Aravind will still make a big stride in eye care by bringing in all these innovations to improve the patient care. Thank you, and see you soon next week.